So this is a good video to put up for my first video on my new channel, Heartburn X. It's more just a personal experience video that might be of interest or of use to somebody. And as you'll see, it's probably not all that, relevant to my main channel and the subject matter that's normally covered there. So I have been a regular daily consumer of cannabis for about 6 years. Now, I wouldn't call it an addiction or a negative habit. It's been nothing but a positive experience for me. I found cannabis, when I took up cannabis when I was 36 or 37, there were nothing but positives. I get better sleep. I read books more enjoyably. It's fun being high, playing a video game or playing on the computer, whatever I'm doing, just hanging out. And when I play poker, I like to get high. But it's called a drug, marijuana. And there are experts that say marijuana is addictive. Okay, marijuana is a drug and marijuana is addictive. And as we go here, language is everything. Okay, so marijuana is a drug, caffeine is a drug, aspirin is a drug, heroin is a drug, crack cocaine is a drug, methamphetamines is a drug, okay? And addiction. They say you can be addicted to cannabis, okay? So cannabis is addictive. Nicotine is addictive. Caffeine is addictive. Heroin is addictive. Cocaine is addictive. Methamphetamine is addictive. All that is addictive. But surely there's something different. Surely as there's a difference between caffeine and heroin as far as whatever addiction problem it causes, there's a difference between the addictive properties of marijuana and cocaine or whatever. Alcohol withdrawals can kill you, from what I understand. And heroin withdrawals cause people's bones to ache. So when I'm talking about when I'm talking about addiction, I'm talking about you're an addict, meaning there's a physiological response that your body causes when it is without that drug. Okay? In other words, it's like your body feels like it's dying and it's in an emergency situation. There's something happening that's bad and it's responding the result is all this pain, discomfort, psychosis, whatever is the result of stopping an addictive substance cold turkey. Now, I've had to give up caffeine a couple of times for various reasons. Yeah, it's addictive. I guess you would say it's fair to say it's addictive in that there is a physiological problem that ensues. There are practical problems. In other words, you rely upon caffeine in the morning for energy. Okay, and then if you're without that energy throughout the day, you feel bummed out and you wish you had the boost in your energy that you would get from your coffee. Okay, so that's a negative for quitting. But then there's also like a physiological thing. You're just not right. For days and days and days after stopping caffeine, there's just something wrong. Although it's manageable, you can still work, you can still, do your thing. You don't feel right and you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. Okay, that's where I would say the addiction is relevant there. Here I am. I'm going to quit smoking weed. I want to say, okay, what's the addiction fallout from this? What's the withdrawal process going to be? So when I realized I hadn't smoked in Vegas for, 24 hours, 30 hours, then I'm paying attention. The first 30 hours I was fine. Then I went another 24 hours, then I went another 24 hours, and I spent my whole vacation in Vegas not smoking. And when I got home, I realized there was nothing to stopping smoking weed. I don't give a living shit what some research you show me. I have experienced addictive substances, and weed, if you're going to call it addictive, see, that's why the language is important, because in the same way someone that's addicted to Facebook or video games or some whatever, that's, I think, the level at which people would say they're addicted to marijuana. In other words, it would be necessary to create a new word. Dependent, psychologically dependent would be the best way to put it. I guess somebody could be psychologically fixated on getting high on cannabis and trying to quit. It's difficult for them because, you know, they have an emotional, psychological attachment to the weed. I don't know how that would work. But I would presume that people that get addicted to Facebook, that get addicted to credit cards, that get addicted to cannabis, if they say they're getting addicted, it's probably because their life sucks. And they're escaping through the video game or through the credit cards or through I guess people get addicted to sex, or people get addicted to prostitutes, or people get addicted to whatever. That's a psychological thing. When I'm using the term addiction, I'm talking about the physiological. You know, I mean, if it's only a psychological thing, then all I got to do is get my head right. Easier said than done, but there's not a physical fallout from stopping Facebook. There's not a physical fallout from stopping video games or cannabis. So it is not right to say that cannabis is addictive, in my opinion, in the sense that you would say heroin is addictive or alcohol is addictive. I mean, I smoked 6 years, every day, sometimes many times a day. I wasn't a stoner. I wasn't like an abuser. I was just smoking when I was in the mood, usually at least before I went to bed at night. And I would turn in, read a book, fall asleep. But I would smoke, you know, if I had a day off, I'd just hang out and get high all day once in a while, just for the fun of it. And I was smoking championship weed. I was smoking the best of the best of the best. At least whatever is possible for somebody to obtain on the East Coast. I understand that California weed is off the charts. I'd love to try it. But for what is possible for someone on the East Coast like myself to get, I was smoking premium shit the whole way. I can say that very honestly. I was growing my own. I was growing premium OG Kush, premium Lemon Haze, premium G13 Haze, premium Big Bud, Northern Lights, Sour Diesel. I mean, you name it, I smoked it. And White Widow, good White Widow. I mean, no addiction. I mean, nothing. There was no physiological fallout at all. I didn't have a headache. I didn't feel more tired. I didn't feel less energy. I didn't feel nothing. I felt absolutely nothing on the physiological level. I suppose if I were here at home when I had stopped smoking weed, I probably would have gotten a little off-put by my routine with weed. You know, I smoke before I go to bed at night. So now when I go to bed at night, I'm not going to smoke before I go to bed. And now it feels like there's something missing. That's a psychological thing. That's not even psychological. That's just basically, you know, learning a new routine. That's it. And so, in my opinion, it is propaganda to say that cannabis is addictive. You know, and lump that in then with heroin and coke, stuff like that. I think that's important because, look, I mean, people are going to prison because they're carrying a little plant in their pocket or a joint. And they're going for no damn reason. It's that simple. Now, I personally don't smoke anymore. That doesn't mean that I see there's anything wrong with it or I stopped smoking because there was a problem or I'm now against it or I've changed my mind. I am as much in support of legal or at least decriminalize cannabis as I can possibly be. I wish I had maybe some way of contributing to that endeavor of getting at least cannabis nationally decriminalized. But until then, I live in a state where it's still a felony to have more than 28 grams. My understanding is police are rather lenient about small amounts of weed. Sometimes they don't even arrest you. Sometimes they just tear it up and throw it on the ground, make you stomp on it or something like that. And my understanding is, because I have a few friends that are police officers, neighbors and stuff like that, and they'll say, you know, a lot of times it'll be basically they've got a guy that they want to get for something. That is, you know, I hope they're not abusing people, but they can't get him on the charge that they know they can get him on, so they get him for the weed. And then that allows them to hold them and interview them or whatever. It's more, the weed law is more of a device to get at a bad guy. And I don't even think that that's appropriate. Yeah, so if, I just thought I would share my experience of smoking cannabis. Awesome ass weed, 6 years straight, stopped cold turkey, and I probably will not smoke again until I can smoke it legally. Now that I'm not smoking it anymore, I don't even have any weed in the house. That's weird. I don't even have a problem with it. I miss it, but I'm glad that I'm now sure that cannabis doesn't have that back end to it. You know, that you keep on smoking. One of these days you're going to try to quit and it's going to bite you on the ass. There's no teeth. There's no fangs. There's no threshold that you reach and then you fall off the cliff. It's fun at first, and then all of a sudden the party is gone and you're still snorting. That's not the way it works with cannabis. Someday I will smoke again, but there are personal things going on in my life, professional endeavors. I need to have clean blood and clean urine. And so it was time to say goodbye to the weed, you know, for the time being. And someday I will be able to do it legally. But until then, I will not cease to insist cannabis is not addictive.